Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton. Yeah. Well, hello, dummies, and welcome to episode number 44 of the stupidest sports show on earth. Back from a nice little break. My name is Tim the Great 8 Van Stratton. With me is Rodney Newpol, who had an actual break. He was in Mexico all week, as you could probably tell a little bit from the splotches on his face. Did you have a good week, first of all?
Yeah. So a couple things to talk about. First of all, welcome back to everybody, you included, and everybody. And before my trip, so as I read Tuesday night that the show, we were going to cancel the show because we had some different plans on what we were going to do. I was first like, oh, what does he do? And then I was like, you know what? Everything needs a break. Mm-hmm. Everything needs a break. So it was nice to take a week off, but it was nice to get back. And by following our Twitter account has went way up over the last couple of weeks. So the people want to hear us, right? They want to hear us. But thanks for holding the fort down while I was gone. And now we're ready to go. Mexico was great. Mid 80s almost all week. I hear I missed a pretty brutal week here in Illinois. Nice since I've been back. Very nice. Mid 50s, low 60s, even these last couple of days. So I loved it. I'm not a major international traveler. Like there's a lot of places where I would be like, yeah, I don't necessarily need to go there. But Mexico, even as nice as Cancun is, it was a little eye-opening at times. But it was fun. A lot of beach, some drinks, some food that I didn't necessarily love. Some food was better than others. I'm a kind of a American foodie guy. Like I like my burgers and fries and pizza, and there was some stuff that I didn't really like. But anyways, what's
the most I don't even want to say exotic. It's like Mexico. I don't know, but like, what is the most different type of cuisine that you normally wouldn't eat that you had there, and you were like, you know what, I like this. I'm down with this.
Well, one of the crazy parts was we had a breakfast the second morning we were there, and we were served, and I was served. And so I'm not a coffee guy. Mm-hmm. So I don't drink coffees, but I had two drinks so like everything there was like buffet style, like for the most part, we did an all inclusive, but this one, you picked up your breakfast, they served you your drinks. And I had coffee on one side, and I sat down, and there was this big pile of green in the other glass. And as you know me, like I'm not really much I'm not really much of a vegetable. I'll eat vegetables. Like I eat the basic vegetables. I'll eat the fruits, but like I'm not big on that stuff. So anyways, I was like, okay, so I got coffee and I got this green thing over here. And I guarantee you, if my son was there, he probably wouldn't even allowed me to drink it because he'd be like, Dad, that's gross. Anyways, I took this drink because I was like, it's either this or coffee. And I absolutely did not want coffee. And you can't drink the water there. So you can't be like, hey, I need some water. Like drank this. And I was like, this stuff's really good. I had like spinach and broccoli. And it was like a nutrition drink, a power energy drink.
Did you just end up drinking a naked juice? And this is a whole story for that?
Probably. I don't know what it was, but it was a Mexican naked juice maybe at that. But it was pretty good. But yeah, so other stuff, I don't know. As far as food,
congratulations on your week-long getaway and having exotic food like smoothies.
Food, maybe. I didn't love crab cake, and I know that can be ate here. Tried it there, wasn't really big on it. Their meat is different there in Mexico, of course. So like I loved coming back and having American meat. Anyways, that's where we are. But it was a good time. I went snorkeling for the first time ever.
Oh, did you now? Yeah, I've been snorkeling a few times. If it's your first time, I'm curious what your experience was, because it can be a little weird where you're like, oh shit, there's just fish right there.
Right there. And the seaweed's all right there. Like, don't touch it, all that. Well, basically, there was 5 of us that went out there, and my wife and I were first timers. And the three guides, of course, all Mexican and speak very little English, where they pointed at me like, you go, be the first one out there. Time to go. And I was like, I don't think this is for me. And they're like, no, go. So I got in the water, and, I had the mask and I had the tube and I had the flippers on, and, and, I got going, and the first couple of seconds, water was in my mask. And I was like, hold on a second. Came out
tight.
Tight. Well, yes. So I came out from under, and I thought I had it pretty tight. I thought I had my life jacket pretty tight. I thought I had my flippers pretty tight. And I told the guy, I'm like, dude, if I can't figure this out, like I can't do that, because I had water all over. This is seawater, salt water, and that's not cool at all.
Yeah. And
so the dude comes up to me, and he's underwater doing this. He's like fixing my life jacket. He's like ripping, I'm not a small guy. He's like moving me in the water. He's taking my mask and like ripping it. Next thing I know, I go underwater. Not a single drop of water goes back in my eyes the rest of the day. And so for the first few minutes, I'm holding that thing like, okay, I got to hold this thing, because if it comes out, I can't breathe under here. And then as I got going, I was like, okay, I can breathe. And then I had to think about, okay, this is how I breathe. It was actually pretty cool. We saw sea turtles. Supposedly there was a shark. I did not see it. The others around said they saw it.
What others? Like the other tourists or the guides?
Yeah, so there was 3 other Americans. They were from Boston, and the 2 adults, and they had a kid. The 2 adults said they saw it, and one of the guides was like, yeah, it looked like, he was broken English, but he was like, yes, looked like it. I didn't see it, so I can't claim I saw a shark. I'm telling you right now, had I seen a shark, I probably would have went back to the boat.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ruffle any feathers here for our audience that is continuing to grow. By the way, thank you to everyone who's joining us right now, watching on Twitter, YouTube, wherever. So when I did my winter getaway to Ixtapa, Mexico, this would have been 2017.
Yeah.
So it was around kind of similar to the same time you were. It was like the week leading up to the Super Bowl. Okay. So that like late January, early February. At the resort, there was probably 70% of the guests that were staying there that were Canadians.
Yes.
Did you have a huge Canadian contingent?
Yes, a lot of Winnipeg, Alberta, lots. I was shocked at how many Canadians were there.
A shocking amount. Now, since I've experienced it, now hearing that, I'm not surprised. Let me ask you this. Do they like to party?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They would say we were probably easily mid-level resort comparably, and I'm not bashing our resort, because we were in a fairly nice place. We were probably very mid-level, and yes, very busy. And as the week went on, we arrived on a Monday, but as we got later in the week, Thursday into Friday, it was like, okay, this kind of maybe isn't so much our crowd, because we are like double everybody's age at this point. And not only Canadians, but there started to be probably they're right at 20, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds. The young crowd started rolling in. I mean, maybe it was early spring break for some colleges. It seems a little early, February. It would seem like that would be March, but it was around that age. There was a lot of Canadian hockey players there, like younger hockey players. Yes, tons of Canadians. And why is that? Why do Canadians love Mexico so much? Just because it's a vast difference?
I think so. I remember, when I've vacationed in Hawaii, a lot of times there's Canadians there. They don't really have a warm weather vacation spot in Canada to go to when it gets really cold. So they'll go to Mexico. They'll go to Hawaii. Like, they have some options there. So that was one of the things that stuck out to me. Like, there were a shit ton of Canadians, and they just were having the best time, and they loved the party.
Yeah. And of course it was the week of the Canadian hockey game against US. So they were definitely partying.
So, yeah, right. So it was during the break for the NHL, and you said that there were some Canadian hockey players. Like, there's a chance, man, in Cancun, right?
Yeah.
There's a chance that you were within breathing distance of NHL stars and you had no idea.
Yeah, but like, who would? Like, okay, so like, I'm not bashing the NHL because I do like the NHL, but like, I don't know as if I could recognize. I mean, you would probably recognize if he was an NHL player because of kind of the body and the teeth, and oh yeah, he probably played it. But even like lower level guys look like that, right? Like,
yeah.
And so there's only a few face names in the NHL where I'd be like, yeah, that's definitely so and so. I did.
You just gave me a great idea.
I mean, Connor
Or
Bedard
I
should
want to
have been
look up.
there. He's not even legal yet, is he?
No,
No.
he's what, 19?
Yeah, right.
No, I was gonna do this. I was gonna go down the points list to see like who's leading the NHL in points, and then you tell me if you would recognize them if they were partying at your Mexican resort.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know. I just thought of this game right now, and I don't know if it's actually going to play to the audience here. But if Nathan McKinnon was in Cancun, would you recognize him?
I do think I would recognize him, but I would know he wasn't there last week because he was in Boston to finish the week.
Right. That's not that. Forget that element. This is just any time of the year. You're in the summer. Okay, it's July. Yeah. You're in Cancun. Nathan McKinnon's there at the pool. You're like, I think that's Nathan McKinnon. You would say yes.
I do think I could recognize Nathan McKinnon. Yes.
All right. Leon Draisaitl, number 2.
Actually, don't think so. I don't think I would recognize him. No.
Yeah. So you got one down. So you got one name down the list.
Yeah.
So
right.
The NHL's second scorer is like no, because I would Connor McDavid. Yes, I would recognize Connor McDavid.
Yes. Same.
Nikita Kucherov might be tough.
Yeah. I don't think so either. Obviously some of them by their nationality more than others. Kucherov looks a little bit different than a couple of these others, right? But no, I wouldn't recognize Kucherov. No.
Yeah. And I don't think I would be able to do, and I know of them. I have a general idea what they look like, but would I stop in my tracks if I saw them like Mitch Marner of the Maple Leafs, Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets?
No chance.
Yeah, no. I think I would be able to do Jack Eichel.
I think so. Yeah, no, I do think I could recognize Jack Eichel.
Looking. Yeah. He's got a very distinct face. But then we get to like Jesper Bratt, and I'm like, sorry.
No chance. No chance. And I've heard that name, but no chance. Yeah. I don't know if he came into my town, our town, and stood between 10 guys. I'm not sure I would know which one Jesper Bratt is.
I think he was the one that was drinking that naked juice smoothie that you loved so much. He also had his own.
Yeah.
I'm just going to point that out, man. What you described is literally naked juice. You could go pick it up at Walmart right now. It's called Green Machine. It's going to taste exactly like what you had. There you go.
Maybe it was. But it is.
Here, they conned you, but they're going to tell you that it's this like amazing exotic thing because they're going to upsell you on it and be like, "Oh, look how fancy this resort is."
But I have zero interest in it here because I know it's a naked. Like that's not my interest. Whatever it was really good, and I was surprised because it was either coffee or that, and I went with the green drink. But anyways, no. So Mexico's a good place to be.
All right. So all that to say, you had a good trip. I did not really hold down the fort for you because I just abandoned doing the shows while you were gone. It just doesn't hit the same, man. This show requires the two of us.
Yeah, you're right. And I did think of that too after I saw the tweet that you weren't doing. I was like, yeah, that probably makes sense. And there would be no co-host that could come up with as stupid of a sports show as the two of us. Like a co-host would probably like bring the stupidity up. Right? Like it would be less stupid. So yeah, I think you made a good choice actually. Now kind of reviewing what went on last week, I think you made a good choice.
Yeah, no, I agree. And now we have a whole week's worth of topics to get to. And you decided, since you got back, that you were going to take some control over the Twitter account and come up with some poll questions. Now, these are all available right now on the Stupid Sports Show Twitter account, so feel free to go vote. It's open for the next couple days. But we want to run through the questions that you put up today and then you and I can have just a little back and forth and a discussion on them. And since it's like, it's February 25th, we're not really in like full on NFL draft mode yet. We're not at NBA playoffs yet. We're still just a hair behind for March Madness. So it seems like a good time to just sort of do a rapid fire around the sports world. Your first question that you posed to our audience: should the NFL eliminate the tush push? The Green Bay Packers were the team, it was confirmed, that submitted the official rule proposal change to have the NFL outlaw the tush push, the play that the Philadelphia Eagles have perfected. They're pretty much the only ones in the NFL that have perfected it to the level that they have. They just won a Super Bowl, thanks in large part to their success with it. But now the Packers, and I'm sure that there are other teams that are like, yeah, we don't want to see that anymore. So I'll ask you, as kind of an Eagles guy, your team from the beginning, do you want to see the NFL outlaw pushing Jalen Hurts' ass 1 yard over the line of scrimmage for a first down?
I do not want to see it. My 4 choices were absolutely yes, probably no, I don't think so, or definitely not. I would probably side with the I don't think so or the definitely not here. So I don't want something banned that all the teams could readily try to do and only one or maybe one portion of another can dominate at. Now, listening to like the Dan Patrick show the last couple of days and Colin Cowherd, now maybe getting rid of the offensive line behind, and you could have like the running back or whatever push, which then basically becomes the quarterback sneak again. Maybe something like that, but probably not. So I'm probably siding on the definitely not, because I've always been that football fan that's like, well, that's dumb. Why can't you do that? Why can't you do that? Why do we have so many rules? Like, why? And I get it for player safety. I was listening to an interview with J.J. Watt today, and even him on the defensive side was like, no, they should not be banning this. Like, teams need to figure out how to stop this if they can. And, if you can get that advantage where you are 1 yard away from what you need, great, you've done your job. So, no, I'm going definitely not here. And the results so far, actually, first place right now is absolutely yes at 33%.
They should eliminate it.
Yeah, so 33% of our voters have said absolutely yes. Now, again, 2 more days left of this. You can still vote. Second place came in at definitely not. So, like, we've got the extremes of yes, no, and then it's split in the middle between probably yeah and I don't think so. Those two are tied. So, where are you at? And you cannot vote this because it benefits your opponent. You have to vote this because of the player safety reasons.
Yeah. So my obvious bias for this is because it's the Eagles, and anything that gives the Eagles success, I'm naturally against. So I have to put that aside for a second, and I have to look at all of the merits of should this play be allowed. And to be honest with you, I do agree with a lot of your points. I think that it's sort of dumb that, like, if you want to put so-and-so like in this spot and set up your offense like that, okay, so be it. Just make sure you have 11 guys on the field, you have X amount of blockers, and then you're good to go. But yeah, I'm sure that there probably is a middle ground of the modifications where you don't have the offensive lineman behind. Maybe you say, okay, well, it needs to be treated like a regular quarterback sneak again, as opposed to this thing, because like not every team just has the personnel. Not every quarterback is built like Jalen Hurts. Right. So it is still ultimately a play that only so many teams would be able to accomplish, just because like the Eagles have such a particular set of players that can make this play happen. So if I put my Eagles hatred aside, I would probably say we don't have to eliminate it totally, but I think some modifications are in order.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously it's the big talk, and I'm sure it's not just the Packers. And that kind of brings me to the other point. Like, how did the what brought out the Packers being that team? Are they just a sacrificial lamb for the rest of the NFL? Are they set up by the NFL? Does the NFL want somebody to bring this up and then eliminate it?
They did lose to the Eagles twice this year.
Yeah, they did. They did. You're right. But you would think this would be the Cowboys or Giants or Commanders or maybe not. But yeah, you're right. You're right. They lost to them in Brazil and they lost to them in the playoffs. So I guess it makes a little more sense. But I guess just like of any teams, the Packers, and you only need one, right? Like it doesn't need to be multiple teams. But like we're all multiple teams. We're like, yeah, I think we're going to do it. And the Packers were like, nope, we're going to do it. I don't know how that worked.
I'm not sure. So, and then do you know at all how many teams need to vote in order for a rule to get changed? How that works?
Yeah, no, I'm not 100% sure either.
Yeah, I've never been sure exactly how that works with rule proposals because we see it happen every offseason, all the different proposals, and then some get passed. So most of them don't.
Well, there's a safety committee, right? And a rules committee. I'm sure they'll be discussed. And a lot of that discussion's going on now, kind of because the NFL's trying to stay relevant with the combine, and that kind of comes together with it. But yeah, so NFL never stops. But yeah, that was the first poll question. I'll introduce number 2 here for you because we talked hockey, and you probably have more hockey knowledge than I do. I'll give you that. I shouldn't even say probably. You do. You have more hockey knowledge than I do. But I wanted to ask this question. Without looking, on February 25th, do you know the top 2 teams in the NHL right now in the standings? And before I gave you the answers to this before, but before I discuss any further, it's not even close at the top of the standings. These 2 teams have 85 and 84 points. The next best is 76. And I guess my point here is that, like, only the diehards, and do the diehards even know that? Does Hockey Guy Dan know who the top 2 teams in the NHL are? That would be the next question. But anyways, I'll let you talk now.
Hockey Guy Dan, I would say Hockey Guy Dan absolutely knows. The diehards of the diehard would know.
Yeah.
I follow hockey a lot, despite me not being able to know who Kyle Connor would be if he was right next to me at a Mexican resort. When we did this before the show, I very unconvincingly guessed one of them, and I had no idea who the second team was.
Yeah, you guessed Winnipeg, which obviously is the overall leader right now with 85 points. Very good team, won 10 in a row, 23-5-3 at home. Very, very good. Running away with the Central, 9 points ahead of Dallas. The other one, and this one surprises me because I felt like this organization kind of started going down over the last couple of years, but obviously they've found a rejuvenance, if that's even a word. But the Washington Capitals are next, and they lead the East. They have 84 points, 10 points ahead of Toronto, 14 points ahead of Carolina in the Metro. Washington, man, I would have never guessed Washington as the top team in the East.
No, and it's funny because they had a very aggressive offseason. They acquired quite a few players, and they went very veteran heavy. And I remember a lot of the analysts saying, hey, they're better, but where are they going? Like, it seemed like it was a team that was sort of stuck in the middle, and they were just trying to stay afloat with those moves. But they somehow took it all the way to leading the Eastern Conference. Like, it's wild. And Alex Ovechkin sitting here, he scored again tonight. I think he's either 12 or 13 goals behind Gretzky now.
Yeah, no, he scored his 30th of the season. He's now 12 away from passing Gretzky. They did lose tonight, so it's kind of a convenience that the best team, it was their only goal. They lost 3-1. But before that, in their 4 wins, they had scored 7, 8, 4, and 6 goals. So this team obviously is scoring. Dylan Strome has 40 assists for them. But I guess my point is that like we're the diehards are there, but like these two teams kind of come out of nowhere. Winnipeg maybe didn't come out of nowhere, but both these teams are surprising.
Winnipeg was a playoff team last year, I think.
Yep.
And they were good. I don't think anyone expected this. Now they do have the best goalie in the league, Connor Hellebuck. He's outstanding.
Yes.
But I don't think anyone expected them to be better than Vegas, to be better than Colorado, to be better than Edmonton. By the way, so I want to bring this up too, because I think this is a natural sort of like progression here. So you mentioned how far ahead Washington and Winnipeg are from the rest of the NHL, right? How odd is it that the two best teams in hockey by a considerable margin, neither of them are in the top 4 of current betting odds to win the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, because Florida still is top, I'm assuming.
So I'll tell you right now. So I'm looking at FanDuel. So plus 650, the leader, the favorite, is the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, okay.
And I want to say the Oilers have been the favorite pretty much. Like they were the favorites in the offseason and preseason as well. Carolina, who you just said 14 points behind Washington, is second at plus 700. Then you have Florida at plus 850. And then Dallas is plus 950.
Who's 9 points in Winnipeg?
You have Washington and Winnipeg, who are both at plus 1,100 before you get to Colorado plus 1,200. Vegas is plus 13. Toronto's plus 13. So,
yeah. I mean, of any of the big sports, though, the NHL is the one where, like, the favorites are probably going to go down, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. No one would be shocked at all if Washington and Winnipeg both failed to make the conference final.
It wouldn't necessarily surprise me if they lost in the first round, because you're going to see, like, I guess in the East, like you're going to see like a New Jersey type team. They're not good enough to be, but like in the West, if I'm looking at the 8 seed, Colorado might fall the 8 seed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's terrifying.
No,
that's terrifying.
Yeah. Like if you're the Jets and you're playing Colorado in the first round, you're like, yeah, no, I'm good.
So
Kings
right now,
have been better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. I mean, right now it would be Washington against Columbus in the first round. Washington would win that, and then Winnipeg would get Calgary, which that should be a huge win for Winnipeg there. But yeah, I mean, Colorado's 4 points up on Calgary right now for that spot. That's a huge wild card. Yeah, and then here's the other kicker in the East. So Columbus is up by 2 points right now. They're up 2 points on Boston and the Rangers.
Yeah.
If the season ended today, the Bruins and the Rangers don't make the playoffs. One of those teams, I think, is going to make the playoffs at least, because you have Detroit who's sort of hanging on right there. So, like, if Washington ends up facing the Rangers, let's say.
Yes.
And then you have Winnipeg that faces Colorado.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if both road teams are favorites.
Right. Yeah, the Rangers have been very disappointing and frustrating as all can be with my Substack. I find picking them quite often has become frustrating. But like I was looking at that Metro, like you mentioned, the Rangers, Boston in the Atlantic, but the big city, Rangers, Philadelphia Flyers, New York Islanders, Pittsburgh Penguins, all not in the playoffs right now. So, and Montreal Canadiens. I know Montreal hasn't been there in a long time, but kind of the big old markets have struggled in the NHL.
Yeah, it's been a weird year.
Yeah,
it's been a weird year in the Eastern Conference in particular. But anyway,
all right, I'm gonna address number 3 to you, and then you can address 4 to me. Number 3 on our Twitter poll. First of all, the answer to that last one: 42.9% absolutely do not know who the top 2 teams are. 28.6% claim yes, easily they know who the top 2 are. I'm questioning that. And then 28.6% also say I don't think I do. 0 said I think so. Nobody thinks so. Anyways, let's move to number 3. I'll give the results to this one first. The question is, what place will the Lakers finish in the Western Conference in the regular season? I'm going to address this one to you because you are a Lakers guy. They're playing right now, Luka against his old team. I only gave 4 choices. I gave second place, third place, fourth place. And the last one was fifth or worse. Right now they sit third, not too far behind Memphis, not too far ahead of Denver. Let me ask you, what place do the Lakers finish in the Western Conference regular season?
So without getting too bogged down in the weeds of, okay, what do the remaining schedules look like for? So, all right. So OKC is going to be the 1 seed. They'll have that locked up.
Yeah.
So Denver right now is up by 2.5 games on the Lakers for the 2 seed. You have Memphis that's up by a pair of games, and you have Houston that's only up by a half a game right now. I would say, I voted in that poll. I would say that based on the way the Lakers have been playing, because in their last 15 games, they're the number one offensive team and the number one defensive team in the NBA. They have been the NBA's best team over the course of the last 15 games, and they've had Luka Doncic for 4 of those, right?
But somehow Charlotte beat them.
No further interruptions. But yes, you're right.
And then since then, Charlotte's been killed twice.
Yeah. Again, no further questions. I would venture to say that the Lakers are going to end up better than Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And I will put them ahead of Memphis as well. And I have the Lakers finishing as the 3 seed in the Western Conference, which is huge for them. If they can finish in a second or third and avoid OKC until a potential Western Conference final. Now, granted, that likely means facing Denver in the second round. But I don't know about you, Rodney, but after watching the Lakers destroy the Nuggets in what might have been the best defensive game plan on Nikola Jokic that we have seen an NBA team accomplish during Jokic's prime, I feel a lot better about facing the Nuggets in a 7-game series than I did probably 2 weeks ago. I would hope that they get a top 3 seed. I'll say that they get a 3 seed, just assuming that they have Luka and LeBron healthy during the stretch run. Right. I mean, they look really good.
Yeah, no, I think a 3rd seed is a good spot for them, much better than 4th because of that reason. But let's talk Jokic real quick. What, 19 assists last night?
Yeah,
I mean,
very good.
And then I'm just baffled because he's not going to win the MVP award this year. It's going to go to Shea. But is that because of voter fatigue? Yeah. Like, are voters tired of voting for Jokic? Like, yeah.
Yes.
They're tired of voting for him. They want new blood there. And Shea's been really good. He's been really good, and he's on the best team in the West. So I'm not necessarily saying he doesn't deserve it, but Jokic's numbers, we're going to look back in 25 years and see Jokic's 2024, 2025 season and be like, wait, he did not win the MVP that season? Mm-hmm. I'm baffled by that.
Yeah, it's something that I always talked about during the 2010s where, I mean, there was a very, very strong case for LeBron James to win 8 straight MVPs.
Yeah.
But you can't really do that. I don't know why, but you just can't. And yeah, that's really where Jokic is at this point. If the MVP was simply given to the best player in basketball who puts up the best numbers, it might as well be the Nikola Jokic award.
Yeah.
That's it. And yeah, based on all of the metrics that prove how inherently valuable a player is, Jokic is once again the most valuable. If Nikola Jokic was removed from the Denver Nuggets, right? Suffers a season-ending injury on opening night, there's a good chance the Nuggets are in the conversation for Cooper Flag.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, Shea does have a very strong MVP case, and all the voters need is someone else to have a very compelling MVP case, and then they'll give him the MVP.
Yeah.
That's all they need, right? Because, I mean, Jokic has won 3 of the last 4. Embiid, probably in hindsight, how did he beat Jokic? I mean, the same reason that SGA is going to do it now, but it's just funny how that always seems to work in the NBA.
One more topic on that. You mentioned his name, Joel Embiid. Done.
I'm so over the Sixers.
Yeah, giving up 142 points to Chicago Bulls. But like, what's Embiid's story? What story are we writing on him the rest of his career? Like, I mean, at this point, it's like he's only going to play half the rest of his games his career, if that. Like, I don't know what story we're going to see on Joel Embiid. Like, how are you going to come? I mean, obviously, there's something wrong with him. Obviously, we can talk about him being soft and all that, but like, medically, something's wrong with him. So, like, have we seen the end of Joel Embiid? Like, is he going to play ever?
He'll play. I don't think we're talking about Joel Embiid never stepping onto a basketball court again, but I think we're done with Joel Embiid being in the conversation as an elite NBA player, is to be someone to carry a franchise.
Yeah.
And what fascinates me about Joel Embiid is that if you let's pretend that his MVP days are done. Let's pretend like this is what he's going to be. He's going to be someone who only plays X amount of games a year, who does well, who puts up good numbers, but isn't able to get his team over the hump, and is just never going to be that 80 game, 30 plus point per game guy, right? Is he a Hall of Famer?
Oof.
Because and again, the Basketball Hall of Fame, for those who don't know, is a joke. Everyone gets in the Basketball Hall of Fame, but right now, every person who's ever won an MVP in the NBA is like guaranteed to make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I think the only person who's not going to do it is Derrick Rose. And Derrick Rose, honestly, to me, seems like a very good comp for Joel Embiid. A little bit different circumstances because Rose wasn't injury prone, but then he had the big injury and then it just sort of tanked everything. Whereas Joel Embiid has just had consistent injury problems throughout his whole career. It's basically like if Joel Embiid was actually able, or if Greg Oden was able to have like a longer NBA career, like it would look like what Joel Embiid is. So
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so like when we evaluate Joel Embiid, when his career is all said and done, it's going to read multiple All-Stars, MVP award, but not going to be enough to make the Hall of Fame. And I think he's going to be in that Derrick Rose conversation of they're the MVPs, but they're the ones who were the MVPs who were kind of one-off and weren't true superstars that deserved enshrinement in the Hall of Fame.
You mentioned the Basketball Hall of Fame being a joke. I would agree with you with the articles coming out about, is Andre Iguodala a Hall of Famer? Like, no.
His number retired.
Yeah, he did. And a solid player, Springfield native, local guy, been to local golf courses, actually said hi to him before. So great guy. But he's not a Basketball Hall of Famer. He's just not. And guys like that really shouldn't even necessarily be discussed as Basketball Hall of Famers, in my opinion. But anyways, let's get to our last question. Right. I'll read the question, or do you have the question?
I'll introduce it here. It here. Since you gave me the Lakers one, I'm going to give you something that's near and dear to your heart. It's the thing that you look forward to more than any other sporting event in the entire year. It's the NCAA tournament. I know what your answer is going to be. And honestly, your answer is probably not allowed in this question because we have it on a scale of 1 to 10. How excited are you for March Madness? Where we know the answer is well above a 10 for you. What were the results here right now? And I'll tell you what my answer was after you read them.
Yeah, so it's interestingly, I had to do them in tiers because Twitter only gives you 4 options. So it was a 1 through 3, a 4 through 6, a 7 through 9, and then just a flat out 10. It's interesting because there was no 1 through 3s and no 4 through 6s. Nobody voted those. And then obviously my Twitter account, my Twitter feed is going to be sports fans, right? Like if you're following me still to this day, after having Twitter for 15 years or whatever I've had it and 300,000 tweets, if you're still following me at this point, you're probably a sports fan. So I get why this answer was there, but it's split 50% 7 to 9 and 50% 10. So there is excitement for it. And let me talk real quick. I think the excitement, and I'm not necessarily singling out any fan base, whether it's Illinois, whether it's Duke, whether it's Kansas, Kentucky, whatever. I think the excitement, well, and gambling comes as part of the excitement here, and the contest and the brackets. But I think the excitement comes from this tournament, like most years, is literally wide open. Like you got like an Auburn team that has failed in the past early, and Bruce Pearl's kind of a loose cannon. You've got, you do have all that Duke interest. Like, don't get me wrong, when Duke and North Carolina are really good, the tournament's better. I mean, because, you got half the people that are quote unquote Duke fans, and then you got the other half that's like, you're doing everything possible for Iona to beat Duke, right? Like every time Duke plays in this tournament, first you got Iona that you want to beat them. And then second round, it's you got George Washington you want to beat them. Third round, you got Kentucky. So like everybody's against Duke. But I'm just saying there's so many teams that could possibly make a deep and a long run in this tournament. And my answer is definitely 10. Like I love the NCAA tournament. In fact, conference tournaments start Sunday. And I know that's not the NCAA tournament. I get it. But like I love the conference tournaments. Like, all right, we've started so many little tournaments into one big one. Love it. Starts Sunday for me. And March actually starts on Saturday. So 10 for me.
I think I'm like an 8 right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to squash your excitement. I once it's here, I love it. Once I see the bracket and I print it out, I still print out the bracket. I fill it out by hand. I need to have that piece of paper in front of me when I watch. I love it. I'm all about it. I'm still not quite at 10 level yet, just because like my college basketball clock doesn't really start until March 1st.
Yeah.
But I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited about it.
Yeah. And so I get it from like your level. Like Thursday, it'll hit a little bit harder for you because the Bradley Braves next Thursday, the Bradley Braves start in the Missouri Valley. Well, it'll be Friday. They won't play on the first day. But when the Bradley Braves start in that Valley tournament, because your team is a mid-major, like that's when the clock really starts, because like those are must-win games. And if you're in your level instantly for the NCAA tournament would be above 10 if they won Arch Madness, right? Like that makes a big deal for you. If Bradley's in the tournament, you're at like a 20. If Bradley's not in the tournament, okay, I'm at like a 7 or 8. Okay, I'll wait till the NCAA tournament and then maybe a 9 or 10. I get that. No, I totally get that. Yeah. I just love the tournament in general. I love the history of it. I love it. I just love the NCAA tournament. You know that. But I found it interesting. None of my followers so far, you can go on there now and click the 1 through 3 or 4 through 6 if you want to hijack my poll. But Stupidest Sports Show on Earth on Twitter has those 4 polls up. And it was kind of interesting to see the results today.
This is kind of an odd question here. Every time I see something about the Kansas Jayhawks, it's them setting a new sort of program record, but in a bad way. They're not in danger of missing the tournament at all, are they?
No, they're not. And last night helped a lot. And Colorado is bad, but they were able to go to Colorado and win that game, which kind of solidified. So, but I will tell you, 18-9, 19-9, something like that. Obviously, not an elite record for the Kansas Jayhawks. But I will tell you, and as I know you know enough about college basketball to understand the depth of this, Kansas has Texas Tech, Houston, and Arizona in their final 3 games. All 3 of those teams are the top 3 teams in the Big 12. Texas Tech is ranked 10th in the country. Houston is ranked 4th in the country. And Arizona has fallen off a little bit, but they're still 22nd in the country. So I guess my point is at 19-9, a potential of 19-12, even a Big 12 loss at 19-13. As pathetic as that is, I agree, because you're going to have 31-3 Drake on the bubble and 19-13 Kansas at like a 9 seed. No, they're not in danger. Now the Fighting Illini over at Illinois, I need to find out how they're doing currently. They're up 20, so they're probably in good shape. The Diamond Dudes. Well. Yeah, they're 17-11, even worse than Kansas's record. And let me tell you, they've got at Michigan and with Purdue. So at 18-11 tonight, 18-13, possibly 18-14. And I get why that irritates guys like you and guys that like Valley teams, because 31-3 Drake is going to be on the bubble. 18-14 Illinois and 19-14 Kansas are going to be like an 8-9 seed. I get it, because like the scheduling, like you can't argue that your team's playing as good a schedule, but you can argue that you can't play that good of a schedule because nobody will play you. I get it. Nobody wants to play Drake. Nobody wants to come to Drake.
It's just then why do we have things like net and RPI and like all of these metrics that will tell you, oh, Drake is a top 40 team in the nation, right?
Yeah.
But then why do we still have to sit here and act like, oh, well, it all comes down to whether they can win a conference tournament on a neutral court in St. Louis?
Yeah.
Like that, to me is what's so bizarre. It was like why it was so infuriating to see what happened to Indiana State. Like we had net rankings that Indiana State last year told us they were top 30 team. They missed outright. Instead, we had to watch Virginia put up like 30 points in a playing game. Like it was absurd.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't necessarily know how to fix it, but you're right. Like, why do we need all of those metrics? Because we're not using. Yeah. We're obviously not using all the.
Yeah,
metrics.
like we have them. We have all of this data that can tell you how good a team actually is, and they have adjusted RPI. They're able to account for the differences of these schedules between a Power 5 school and a mid-major school. They can tell you, and they could put numbers on it to tell you, oh, and actually they're only separated by this amount. Great. Let's build the tournament using those things instead of having 12 Big Ten teams in there. Like and like I'm not trying to argue this. Like I know you agree. It's just it's just one of the frustrating things of like rooting for a team that you can watch, like a mid-major team that you know is good, but like there's a part of me that watches a Bradley game and I'm like, well, none of this really matters. Yeah, I'm invested. I like watching them. I want them to win, but like, it doesn't matter. Like it only matters like for 3 days in St. Louis. Like that's it. And that sucks. That sucks.
Yeah, no, it does suck. And I'm selling right now. Like if somehow my Kansas Jayhawks were 5 and they saw a 12 seeded Bradley, and I know we've done this before. Trust me, I've heard this plenty that Bradley beat Kansas. I get it. Or a 12-seeded Drake. Like I'm terrified. Like that. Yeah. That is not what I want to see. And I know. So like from a Kansas side, like I hope they are like an 8 seed or a 9 seed, because like you're not playing one of those mid majors at that point. You're playing another. You're playing in Illinois. Like okay, now you've got 2 teams that really suck this year. Like 2 teams that really struggle. Now, I'm not saying Kansas or Illinois suck, because they both have very talented players and can both make some damage, but have struggled. They have 14 losses for a reason. But yeah, I don't want to see the Bradleys or Drakes of the world. No way.
All right, let's wrap up the show. Now, part of the reason why I wanted to wait until you were back is because I looked at who was a number 44 in sports.
Yeah.
And this list is loaded, man. And I know you've done some digging into it as well. I have lists. I've prepared. I have all of the players who have won 44 in the 4 major sports. And I'm curious to see like the names that you pulled as well, because this Mount Rushmore, like we're going to have to kick out some huge names here to put this list together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, going through the NBA, guys like Danny Ainge, Derek Coleman, Christian Laettner, Ralph Sampson, I believe Elvin Hayes, Don Nelson. Current players, there's not a Pete Maravich was 44, right? Jerry West, was he 40? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pete Maravich, yes, he was. And George Gervin. Yeah.
Paul Westphal. So yes, a lot of NBA
Jerry
names
West.
there. Baseball is a ton of good.
I think we
go ahead.
I was going to say real quick. So the NBA, I think the biggest one that we left off is Jerry West.
The logo.
So all right. Let's put Jerry West as the NBA representative for Mount Rushmore. Fair?
Yeah. We can do that.
He's the logo. Okay. MLB. This is where we're gonna have some fun here, because there are probably 3 guys that you could make an argument all deserve a spot on Mount Rushmore here.
Okay.
So number 1, the obvious one, is Henry Aaron.
Yep.
Hammer and Hank.
Yep.
He's there. The other 2 that are Hall of Famers, Reggie Jackson and Willie McCovey.
All very good.
That's good. And then it's funny. So based on WAR, right, career WAR, the 4th best player to ever wear number 44, Rodney, you're gonna like this one a lot. Paul Goldschmidt.
Good player.
He was number 44 with the Arizona Diamondbacks for his 8 seasons there. You also have David Cohn, Roy Oswalt, let's see, Anthony Rizzo, Jake Peavy, Chili Davis.
Yeah. So I don't know how we do this. Like, I guess we got to go Henry Aaron, right?
Yeah, I would say Jerry West and Hank Aaron are locks, absolute locks. NFL, the best players that I've found that were number 44, John Riggins, Leroy Kelly. So some older guys. I know John Riggins, though. He's like the number 1 option. Dick LeBeau. I can do without any NFL representation. Like the most recent guy, we have Dallas Clark, Marlon Humphrey, Ahmad Bradshaw, Miles Jack. Yeah, we're gonna have to say no for
so that
NFL.
So that begs the question.
Yeah,
you move a baseball guy in there. Is it Reggie Jackson or is it Willie McCovey?
I think it's Reggie.
Okay, so Jerry West, Hank Aaron, Reggie Jackson, and we need one more, and we're looking at the National Hockey League.
Yeah, I'm doing a quick search. So looking at these lists, so the NBA, so the NBA and the NHL, like the basketball reference and hockey reference pages, they show all the players, but they just show the teams and the years. What I like about football and the baseball pages is that you can organize based on like WAR or career value. So you just like sort it by that and you see, okay, who are the best players to ever wear this? The NHL, I got to go through and be like, okay, who actually wore this number a long time? Who was actually good? Takes a little longer. Like Todd Bertuzzi for the NHL. It's not deserving of a spot on Mount Rushmore. No. I don't know if you have anyone off the top of your head that you can think of in the National Hockey League that was a 44.
Not really. Hockey numbers are hard for me to 44. No, Todd Bertuzzi's not going on our Hall of Fame, that's for sure, or on our Mount Rushmore. So we have 3 baseball guys.
Hold on. Hold the F on, Rodney. All right. I'm going to throw, and this is going to be one that a guy that we both like, okay? Chris Pronger.
I love Chris Pronger. But I'll be honest, like Willie McCovey's got to go on over Chris Pronger.
Probably, yeah. And then the only other NHL guy that would have a chemo team in, like Mark-Edward Vlasic now. So
I mean,
yeah, it's basically it's Chris Pronger, John Riggins, Paul Goldschmidt are all the sort of honorable mentions. But yeah, I think this is 3 baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you have to if they're in the Hall of Fame. Like, and I love Chris Pronger, but like, I don't think we can force one. Ideally, we could get one from each. If it's close, we're getting one from each sport. But like, I'm sorry, NHL. I'm sorry, NFL. You just don't belong in this one. You just don't belong in this one. So,
if we wanted to do our own though, and like just be really biased, we could put Chris Pronger on there, and for the NFL, we could have Ahmad Bradshaw, and then we would have both of our teams covered.
And I might as well just throw Paul Goldschmidt in there then.
Yeah, might as well. Yeah.
So. We can figure it out from there. But yeah, no, the 44 is a good one. I would assume 45 will be a pretty good one as well.
I think so.
Do some advanced research on that one, but yeah, no, that's a good one. 44. Okay, I like it.
Yeah. So Yeah. Hank, the logo, Mr. October. What was Willie McCovey's nickname? Did he have a nickname?
Don't know. I'll have to look it up, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I just know of McCovey Cove here. Let's see. Willie McCovey's nickname, according to Baseball Reference, if there is one.
Stretch. Stretch.
Yep. Stretch.
Which people don't know. I mean, that's not a common. I wouldn't say that was like you think of Willie McCovey. You don't think of that, do you? Like I don't think of that. I had to look it up.
I mean, I'm sure the older baseball fans do, but Willie McCovey was a little bit before both of our times.
Yes. Willie McCovey's actually been gone almost 7 years now too. And obviously been then playing for a long time, but yes. And he was also known as Willie Mack.
Yeah.
Oh, how ironic.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see nickname Stretch. Well, Baseball Reference has Stretch, Mac, and Big Mac. So was Willie McCovey the original Big Mac before Mark McGwire?
Okay. I see Willie. Probably. I wonder if his family did like a lawsuit against Mark McGwire because of that. That's interesting. Mac, Big Mac.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah. Willie Mac. Interesting. Yeah. So I know I like this. I like the Mount Rushmore. These four. This is probably the best one we've had. 4 surefire sports Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Although I remember like 42 was also really good.
Pretty good. Yeah.
I think that's
Obviously,
where that might have been where we started the concept of the Mount Rushmore when we did our 42s because there were so many.
Yeah. Well, it's sticking with us. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that just about does it for the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth, episode 44, the Willie McCovey edition of the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth. We'll be back Friday morning, 8 a.m. Central, for all of our sports gas baggery to recap the last couple days to get you ready for the weekend. A reminder that Rodney, were you putting out bets for last week when you were in Mexico?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I had the Substack going. It's so let me just recap. Let me recap. In February, I am 28 games above 500, so 14 units ahead. For the year, I am just shy of 30 units ahead. Now, I have not graded today's games. There's a bunch. There was 5 NBA, about 5 NHL, and about half dozen college basketball. So we'll see how we did tonight. But yeah, I mean, if you've been following along, I've literally done it every day. So 56 days of the Substack, 30 units. You know, if you could win a unit a day, half a unit a day, you're going to make quite a bit of money. So yeah, sign up for our Substack, share that with a friend or a family member and get them to sign up as well. And it's free. So it comes out about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes in the 3s, but mid-afternoon.
Just winners after winners. Yeah. Except you lost today. The Ducks did not lose by 2 or more goals.
They didn't? All right. They
take that L. Hold that L.
The Sabres beat them by 1?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they were up 2-0, and then they gave up 3 goals in the third period. Ironically, though, there were a couple times where the Sabres from across the ice shot at the empty net, and it trickled and maybe missed making it a 4-2 game by like that much, like just like hitting off the post.
Yeah, so. I lost the Capitals tonight too. I had them, so yeah, we'll see. I'm actually getting ready to do that now. I try to grade it at night and start coming up with some picks, and then finish it up during the day. But yeah, no, it's been fun, and if you've been following along, hope you've enjoyed some winners.
All right. Well, make sure to sign up at Stupid Sports Show on Substack. Give us a follow, by the way. Thanks to everyone who is watching, all 134 of you, at Stupid Sports Show on Twitter. And if you missed any of our shows previously or tonight, go ahead and listen on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. And I think that just about does it for the show, unless you have anything. Do you have any more thoughts about how much you missed American meat when you were in Mexico, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, Mexico's a great place. And I was glad you brought that up about Canadians, because we really did notice there was lots of Canadians there. Mm-hmm. I did. We ran into a lot of people. Yeah, I'm from Canada, eh? And Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
it
they're
makes
very
sense.
friendly. They're very friendly. They're great people, and they just there to have a good time.
Oh yeah, very much so. And I mean, it makes sense. Like I would have, I know I asked, like, why are they there? It makes sense. There's nowhere for them to go warm, and they'd probably rather go to warm Mexico than anywhere in the States. So,
But they could
especially
go to Winnipeg to watch the best team in the NHL.
that's true. That's true.
I, they would know. Would they know the top two teams in the NHL? Have
Yeah,
you asked
that's
them?
a great. I should have asked. Okay, so if you're from Canada, I need you to give me one of the top two teams in the NHL. If you can do that, I believe you're from Canada. They probably would have guessed. Like if they don't know any hockey, they would have went with like Montreal because that's
Or the Leaves?
Leaves.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they're very friendly people. Mexico's a great place. It was fun. But here we are back, and I got a little redness. I did burn a little bit. I'm peeling, but I'm okay with it because like you can't go to Mexico in February without like coming home with a burn, right? Like you have to get a little bit sunburned. Like I made a point of like getting sunburned, but didn't want to overdo it because 15 years ago when I went to St. Martin, I was this color. And that hurt.
No, I would say your skin has adjusted to it a little bit. Still some splotches, but for the most part, I think you're all right. It'll pass.
Yeah. All right. We'll do it Friday, 8 a.m.
All right. Friday morning, 8 a.m. for episode 45 of the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth. But for Rodney Newple, I'm Tim the Great 8 Van Stratton, signing off. Take it easy, everyone. See ya.
See ya.
Step right up, dummies, and listen to the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth with Rodney Newple and Tim Van Stratton. Yeah.